have sung for 1,000 years.
The Sound of Music was and still is one of the most popular and iconic films today. The film is about Maria, a free-spirited Austrian woman studying to become a nun at Nonnenberg Abbey. Due to her lack of discipline, the nuns decided it would be best to send Maria to the house of naval officer Captain George von Trapp to become a governess for his 7 children. When she arrives at the von Trapp household, she is surprised to see the strict rule the children are under.
Lisa. Friedrich.
Luisa.
Kurt.
Brigitte. Martha.
Gretel.
Once the 7 children warmed up to Maria, they allowed her to teach them how to sing. Once the children learned how to sing, they never stopped. They performed for their father and his guests at their party, and they sung all around the house.
There's a sad sort of clanging from the clock in the hall, and the bells in the steeple too. And up in the nursery an absurd little bird is popping out to say cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Regretfully they tell us, but firmly they compel us to say goodbye to you. So long, farewell, our readers, and good night. I hate to go and leave this pretty sight.
Their large house was filled with the sound of music and laughter. Maria and the captain soon realized that they loved each other, and they had a grand wedding. While on their honeymoon, Maria and the captain learned that Hitler's Third Reich had taken over Austria. When they returned, the whole family joined a music competition. After their performance, Maria, the captain, and the 7 children fled to the Alps and made their way safely to Switzerland. The Sound of Music was a huge success. It was and still is one of the most highest-grossing films of all time. The film was thoroughly enjoyed by both children and adults. Today, The Sound of Music is loved by almost everyone, but back then, a majority of the reviews were negative. Pauline Kael, a critic for The New Yorker, called it The Sound of Money because it's one of the highest-grossing films of all time. She also claimed the film to be a sugar-coated lie that everyone wanted to eat. She ended her review by saying, "We have been turned into emotional and aesthetic imbeciles when we hear ourselves humming the sickly, goody-goody songs." Another critic from The New Yorker, Bosley Crowther, said the film was repetitive and unrealistic. Crowther said this statement about the producer and director Robert Wise. Mr. Wise seems to run out of songs towards the end of the picture and repeat 2 or 3 of the more familiar ones. But the same must be said of The Sound of Music. It repeats in style and in theme. Though there were many negative reviews, there were still positive ones. Whitney Williams from Variety said, "It is one of the top musicals to reach the screen." Richard Coe from the Washington Post stated that The Sound of Music is a surefire story, fabulous views of the Bavarian Alps, and the lifting score of Rodgers and Hammerstein, a fine cast, and above all, Julie Andrews. The Sound of Music was released on April 1st, 1965. During that time, there were a lot of hardships and people were still recovering from World War II. However, the film was set in Austria in 1938 when Hitler was beginning to take over. I talked to faculty member Mr. Jeffries, and he said he loved watching The Sound of Music because it was great entertainment for people of all ages. Mr. Jeffries also said the movie was a great way to escape the hardships during that time. After all, he said, it's a cheesy, feel-good film. I also talked to Mr. Merriam about The Sound of Music. He told me he liked the film because it was a feel-good family movie in an era filled with dark comedies and intense dramas. Mr. Merriam also liked the positive messages that the movie had. Just like the movie critics, he stated that it did not represent the era because the Von Trapp family overcame seemingly overwhelming odds to survive. Mr. Merriam also said the movie did not fully portray what times were like. Yes, it dealt with the World War II era, he said, but the message was universal. Working together, we can accomplish the impossible and overcome immeasurable odds. There are aspects of the film that do represent life in the late 1930s. In the film, the captain and Maria come back from their honeymoon and see a Nazi flag hanging on their house. From that moment, the captain knew he and his family needed to flee for safety. Back then, it also showed that women did not have major roles in society. Since the captain's wife died, he needed a governess to watch over his children. During that time, women did not have important jobs. Instead, they watched over their family or became nannies or nuns. The Sound of Music is still one of the most popular films today. It brings joy, inspiration, and hope to people of all ages around the world.